In my previous video, the 7 ways realtors can step it up right now, I gave you 7 steps to increase your ability to sell and to grow your career right now in 2023. Step number 1 is to show up. And so I wanted to give you some specific ways in which you can show up that will benefit you. But before I do that, if you are finding these videos helpful, can I encourage you right now to hit the subscribe button? We are wanting to make sure we get this video out to as many people. I believe this information is helpful for you as realtors, for lenders, for anybody in the sales careers, because right now is a time when we can grow our business. And I believe that if we work hard right now, that we're setting the foundation for the next 10, 20 years in our careers. So back to my steps. How can you show up and do it the best? Number 1, show up on time. If you worked for any other employer and you had to punch a clock, you had to be on time. You'd have to punch that clock or you would be docked late, or you may not get credit for the day. I don't know what it is, but you have to show up every job except for real estate. It just seems like you can call in sick, you can sleep in late, you can go grocery shopping, you can go out and buy a new car, you can do something other than actually showing up. Why? Because you don't have a boss that's breathing down your throat saying, get there on time. But you have to treat this job like a real job, because those that show up get paid. End of story. So show up on time. Set a time when you're going to be where you're going to be, and then get there. When I was going through my MBA classes at Cal State Fullerton, we had a professor in one of the finance classes, and he was always late. And depending on the degree of the professor would determine how long we had to wait before class was canceled. This guy had a doctorate, so we had to wait the longest amount of time. And it always seemed like right before the cutoff time, he would run in the door, basically late. And then we were all sitting there wondering, great, now that he's late, are we gonna have class go late? It just was a bad start. You need a good start, so show up on time. Number 2, show up prepared. You wanna have your preparation done before you get to where you need to go. Going back to this class, I learned a lot because the professor was an example of what not to do. He would run into that classroom late. He would have papers flying out of his briefcase. He'd have half of his shirt tucked in, half of it not. And he'd get up to the front and he didn't know what pages we were supposed to be studying. He couldn't remember what homework he had assigned. The class was a disaster, so much of a disaster that they pulled him out of the classroom halfway through our semester, and they put the department chair in as our replacement professor. Why? Because he wasn't prepared. You have to be prepared when you show up. Number 3, show up and be present. You want to be engaged in your work to grow your business. Just like you're on a listing appointment, you shut down your phones, you want to make sure that you're engaged and focused. You want to have time at your work where you're working on your work that you are present and not distracted. Can you imagine if you're a heart surgeon and the heart surgeon is like, oh wait, hold on, I got to check my email right in the middle of surgery, or oh, I got a text, I got to check on that right in the middle of surgery? No, like your life depends on it. Your job and your success depends on you showing up and being present, not distracted. The 4th thing, if you are present and you're on time and you're prepared, you show up in power, like you're powerful, because it takes powerful people to make movements in this industry. And you want to show up prepared to be powerful. That is a result of being there on time, of knowing what you're going to do, of handling those things ahead of time. That allows you to empower yourself to really take your career to the next level. And the last thing here, the last step for showing up, is to stay late. Show up and stay late. I can't tell you how many times I have left this office and been the last person here. I'm not encouraging workaholism, right? I don't want you to be a workaholic, but I do want you to know that you have to put in the time. You have to stay late sometimes. I just read a National Association of Realtors survey, and this was shocking to me, but not really that surprising. The average realtor puts in 35 hours a week. Now, if you're working 35 hours a week, that's not quite really full time. And anybody who's a top producer knows that you're probably putting in more like 45 to 60 hours a week to really get your business going. If you're putting in 35 hours a week, you're probably getting 35 hours a week of part-time pay. If you really want to succeed in this business right now in 2023, you need to show up on time, show up prepared, show up and be present, show up and be powerful, and then show up and stay late. I hope that's helpful to you. Stay tuned for more as we continue to unpack the 7 ways that realtors can step it up right now. God bless you, and I hope to talk to you soon.